Hey everybody, welcome to Beyond Local, episode 53, as we continue down the path of Get to Know LSEO. So normally we talk about digital marketing tips and tricks, but we like to highlight our employees for the next couple of episodes and find out the people who are responsible behind the scenes to make your website pop on our search engines. I just made that up. But as usual, with me this time, not as usual, I know he's going to already tell you that I skipped last week, and Steve Blackburn held down the fort. Thank you so much, Steve.
Well, thanks, Jeff. I'm glad to see that you're back, being the model of consistency and showing up for the people. You know, we've built up quite an audience, and they deserve to have you at your best. So last week you weren't going to be at your best. You better not be here then. So,
Right.
No, but welcome back, buddy.
Thanks.
Always glad to be on this side of the table. It feels funny being over on that
Yeah,
side.
it looks funny when I watch it.
Well,
it sounds good, though.
That doesn't matter which side of the table I'm on. It'll look funny.
Right. All right. So as usual, Steve's responsible for bringing a guest, and I have to say, today you are surrounded by greatness. Steve, who'd you bring with you?
Well, I mean, there's greatness to the right of me, maybe. Mediocrity in front of me. No, I'm only kidding. So, well, Jeff, I think that you know this one. So I am out skooked. I am out kimmeled. I brought the wonderfully talented and newish, one of the newest members of our team, Stramara.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
There's applause. No, just kidding.
So this is Jeff's 3-ring circus. So Annie, yes, thanks for joining us. So Annie, can you tell us a little? Excuse me, woof. Can you tell us a little bit? See, you weren't here. I got used to being in a different way now. My vocals are off.
You changed the pitch and everything like that when you're on this side of the table.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So glad to have you back, and guys will get consistent again. So Annie, can you tell us what you do here at LSEO and how that helps our customers and clients be successful?
Sure. So currently I work as a paid media specialist. I work closely with Eric, who was on the podcast, I believe, 2 weeks ago, just overseeing some of the social media campaigns for our customers, clients. For right now, we focus a lot on like the Facebook side of things. Coming into this position, I didn't really have any experience. I had very little knowledge of what it would be like. So since the start, I've learned a lot, but I've been really just trying to bring in a lot of basic knowledge I have as a consumer of what works on social media and what doesn't. And so far, I think it's been really helping our clients kind of see what their business is capable of by just running some solid Facebook ad campaigns. So
I think you sell yourself a little bit short, though. So you're telling the people, right, that, well, I didn't have a lot of experience doing this. Maybe you didn't have a lot of experience doing exactly what you're doing now, but you've always been into, graphics and art and things like that. So, right. And that's why, like when we first interviewed you, I told you, you don't have to know what we do, right? Mm-hmm. Like it was, I can teach someone a skill.
Right.
What you came in with was the right attitude and to go and get it. Now, I know that I jumped ahead here, and I know that, your uncle's going to ask, and I didn't say that.
Spoiler alert.
The Uncle Jeff is going to ask a couple of questions here, and I almost jumped ahead. So Let me sit back and you see, though, when it was my show, I could do things however I want. Now I got to go back to playing with you.
Right.
Well, let me give you your ball back.
Thank you for letting me ask a couple of questions. But all right, as Steve alluded to, tell us a little bit about your professional history. What'd you do, before you came to LSEO?
Okay, so right out of college, I worked at web.com. For a little bit as just like a customer service representative, answering the phones and things like that. And then for almost 2 years, I was acting as a graphic artist at a local print shop called Wet Paint Print and Design. And about halfway through that time, I transitioned into general manager over there. So I was overseeing a lot of the day-to-day operations, customer service. I kind of fielded every single customer and phone call, but I also did a lot of the graphic work. So I was really wearing many, many hats while I was there. And now that's really pretty much everything I've done since graduating school. When I was in school, I went to Wilkes University and majored in marketing. And while I was there, I was wearing a lot of hats there too. I was a resident assistant, an e-mentor for the first year students, and I was active in a couple of clubs and stuff. So a lot of very different experiences that kind of all tie in together now to give me the skills and the knowledge I have to continue to grow in the profession I've now found myself in. So.
Did you have any interesting internships during your year in school?
Well, I did quite a few, I have to say. I started my very first internship my sophomore year was at Pepper Jam, and then I did a few. I did one in New York City over a summer in event planning and branding, and that was interesting. Definitely not for me. I'm not a city girl, I don't think, but what I learned was really interesting. I did an internship over at the Oosterhout Free Library, so I got to kind of plan a lot of events to help sponsor like the nonprofit organization and things like that. So that was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of people locally that way. And then my last internship I did before graduating was at Special Guest with Kris. So I was talking to Michael yesterday. I said I did the KBJ trifecta here. So got a little bit of my toes in the water everywhere. So
right on. So I got to ask, because I'm sitting across the table from a Hall of Famer, and so did you play sports or anything in college or high school or anything?
Yeah, in high school I ran cross country and I was on the long distance track team. I very briefly played basketball, but I was not very good at it. And then in college I actually was really kind of focused on my academics as much as I possibly could be. I was ultimately looking for resume builders for the most part, so I didn't do too many sports or anything like that. I just spent a lot of my time working with other students with extracurriculars and things like that. So no sports in college, but a lot of mental training, if you will.
Okay. So growing up, though, did you play softball at all or baseball?
I played softball when I was really, really young. I wasn't super interested just because I'm terrified of getting hit with a softball, so it makes going up to bat really difficult.
I could imagine.
But yeah, mostly it was basketball when I was really young, and then I transitioned into just becoming a long-distance runner. So. All
right, yeah, I was just, curious if you also, batted ninth and played right field because you had a strong arm and were fast. But, I needed to know if the athletic abilities ran in the family.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'll let you go back to asking questions again and give you back your ball.
So you said you're not a city person.
Mm-mm.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's a little weird because growing up, I really thought that I was meant to be somewhere, especially growing up in Schuylkill County. It's such a small place, everybody knows everybody. And I was kind of looking for something that would kind of give me exposure to a lot of different types of people on a regular basis. And when I was in New York, you never really see the same person more than once, so it's really interesting to see like kind of what you run into. But ultimately, while I was there, there wasn't any real connection. I feel very strongly about connecting to the people that you're around and that you work with, and I'm a big team player, and I didn't really enjoy the individualism of the whole city. There's not a lot of caring and compassion that goes on in New York City, and I can't get behind that. I don't like that. So I'd very much rather be in a small town where I know who my neighbors are and who works down the street, and they could call me if they needed help with anything, and I can do that. New York City's just not like that.
I think sometimes that depends on the neighbor, right? I've lived next to some neighbors in my life, and I'm like, well, you'll figure it out. You're still on the first couple of out on your own.
Well,
type
I'll say
places, but,
they're not all good neighbors, but I'll help them anyway.
Yes, you'll help them, and I don't know if I'm going to call on them if I need help. So, all right. So my next question is, I've gotten to know you over the last couple of months quite well. You could have been anywhere. Like you're a bright, young, passionate woman. Why here? Why did we get so lucky to have you?
Well, thanks, Steve. I am really happy to be here. Like I said before, I had worked with Chris Jones in the past. I got really kind of acquainted with the company culture, and I I personally just think that it's like a really nice environment to be in. It helps that I only live right down the street, so of course I can walk here every day, and that's great. But yeah, ultimately I knew at a place like LSEO I would be surrounded by the type of people that I want to work with. And that's been proven to me by working with Chris Jones and his companies in the past, that I'm always kind of in an environment where I feel comfortable, I feel supported, there's a lot of teamwork and encouragement, and I feel like I can really thrive in an environment like this.
I think too. I mean, well, having your uncle sit across the table. I mean, that was always, and then little do they know. Well, she hasn't been on yet, so maybe next week. Maybe next week, right?
Yep.
So spoiler alert. But you also grew up with Riley Kane, our SEO manager. So you did have an insight, a little bit of what's going on. I mean, we got a lot of skook in this office now. Although I don't know that you voted on the poll.
I did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know what it was either.
Right.
And then I got looked at like I had 3 heads for not knowing what that was, and she here was the only person who did. So anyway, we'll bring that up when Riley's here. We'd like to talk to her, not about her.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Riley, it's coming. Spoiler alert.
So you told us a lot about what drew you here. Now that you're here, what's your favorite thing about working here at LSEO?
Well, I'm going to have to backtrack and say that it really is the people. It's just like the culture itself. I feel like at the end of every day, Steve says, "Hey, great job today."
He does?
to those
To
who
me,
earn it.
Okay.
But it feels really good to feel like you're appreciated and that your work is kind of getting recognized. I feel like I've only been here about 2 months now. I've been learning a lot almost every single day. And I'm always just trying to put my best foot forward, and it feels recognized, and it feels like people appreciate the work that I'm putting in. And that's really important to me. I feel like a lot of times you can kind of get into the routine of just doing your day-to-day tasks and taking on a lot of work, and everybody's doing it, so nobody's really trying to constantly commend you for the work that you're doing. And a lot of times it comes down to kind of what the work is and how busy everybody is, and everybody has their own things going on. But it is nice, I will say, at the end of the day before I head home, that somebody is saying, "Hey, you did a lot of work today. You did a great job, and I appreciate it." Makes you want to come back tomorrow and do it again.
I bet.
No comment. Next question. So we'll give you the opportunity then to turn into Jonesy for a moment. So you told us everything that you like about The Office, and I gotta say I liked that answer. But if you could change one thing, what would it be? How would you make this, I don't want to say better, but different?
More women.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be my first. When you gave me my list of questions, the only possible thing I could think of that I would change about The Office at all is that I feel like I'd love to see some more women around here. I personally consider myself to be a woman in power because I'm a woman empowered. Mm-hmm. And it feels good to know that, there are certain industries, especially the tech industry, that's just mostly dominated by men. You know what I mean? And it's nice with the women who are here, Riley and Allison, Erin and Nina. You could see how hard they work and they take pride in it. And I wish that there were more women willing to, I would say, put themselves out there in the tech industry like this. And you don't even get a lot of women applying for jobs like this sometimes. But that's one thing that I think I wish there was more of, is just more people who look like me.
And I'm glad that you say that, because we've had, and Landis doesn't come into the office because of the baby and whatnot, and she's fantastic. I just spent some time with her this morning. Jade was great, and before you were here, we had Darcy Huff, who was very good. We've had a lot of really, really great women come through here, but I agree. I mean, that's why when I'm looking to hire people, I want to hire everyone. I want a just big, diverse group of people, because, if you get 2 knuckleheads and with you and I, and we get more people that look like you and I and act like you and I, well, we're going to get the same ideas, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm so glad too that the women that do currently work with us have accelerated into leadership positions as well, with Riley and Allison taking over, their divisions. So I'm with you, man. So any of the women out there, well, anybody in general, like I just apply. We're always growing and we're always looking to add the best and brightest team members. And if they happen to be women, well, great.
Yeah.
So what's the best way for somebody to apply? We don't, should we email you?
Well, they're not going to email you.
No, but do you have
You have enough emails coming through, right? So yeah, I mean, they can always reach out. They can call us, right? The phone rings,
yeah.
or they can send an email to steve@lseo.com and let's
go.
make that pop up there, right?
That's exactly what I wanted.
Dan, we're going to need that to pop up, steve@lseo.com.
Or call the 800 number.
steve@lseo.com if you'd like to talk to Steve. The 800 number if you'd like to talk to Jeff. And now we'll have a contest. And we'll have a ding, how many people,
Right. Okay, sounds good.
I think the phone's ringing already. Somebody wants to talk to you.
Yeah, no, that's great. We wanted to give people the opportunity to reach out to us, and we're always looking for great people.
Yeah. I mean, and I want to, not that I want the show to turn into me or the company, because this is about you, but it's also about the people, right? So my big thing is, we're always growing. We always want to be interviewing, and just like I had said to you, you don't have to be a marketing professional to come work here. We will give the right person the skills. I mean, I think it's important to know that if you're somebody who wants to come in, work hard, and join the cause, right? And add to that culture that we created, we are more than willing to train, the best and brightest minds.
There you go. All right. So let's get back to Annie.
Selfless plug there.
All right. So she let us into that, so that was great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what do you like to do outside of work? What are your hobbies? Pretend I don't know.
Right. So currently I'm actually, right now I consider myself a very amateur musician. I started playing the ukulele a little less than a year ago, a little more than a year ago. I got my first ukulele on my birthday last year, which is June 26th for anybody who ever wants to wish me happy birthday. So for the past year, I've been teaching myself how to play ukulele, and then I've been attempting to teach myself how to play piano, which if you've ever done it is very difficult, especially when there's nobody explaining to you or trying to show you what to do. I do a lot of reading and watching YouTube videos and trying to mimic that, but it's incredibly difficult. But still, I think it'll be worth it one day when I can actually play it. I know how to play Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles now, so yeah, I'm getting there, right? But yeah, so I do a lot of music. Recently, I've been playing open mic nights at the V-Spot in Scranton every Tuesday, thanks to the NEPA scene. That's a blog they put on open mic nights every Tuesday. So yeah, I just kind of work on a lot of music. And then aside from that, I do also have a part-time job at the Strange and Unusual in Kingston, which is an oddities parlor. Very cool, if you ever want to check that out as well. But yeah, so that's I keep myself busy. When I'm not here, I'm always doing something. But yeah, a lot of work and a lot of music.
So I was going to say, this year on your birthday, you also got a new musical instrument, if memory serves me correct,
yes,
right?
Yes, that's correct. This year for my birthday, I got a pink drum set, which I also don't know how to play, but pink, if you couldn't tell, is my favorite color. And for those of you who don't work here, my whole desk is covered in pink office supplies, and pretty much anything pink I can get my hands on will show up in the office. Yeah, but I got a drum set for my boyfriend this year, so that would be my next instrument to tackle. If I can just get past the piano, I may have to switch gears first, because I think the piano's probably going to take me a really long time to master. But yeah, so I'm just kind of building my repertoire of instruments that I can only half play. So
it's a half of a one-woman band there. Right. So do you remember the movie Kate Hudson, Matthew McConaughey, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days? So Annie reminded me a little bit of Kate Hudson the one day, right? So she and Eric share an office together. Yep. And the one day, everything was there, and I'm like, okay, I know this office. I come in the next day, and it was like the day Kate Hudson came and started putting in, the little towels and fixed everything. I come in the next day. She's got a blanket on the couch. She's got, pink stuff, flowers, and I was like, well, what happened? It was like you had a snow globe, and somebody finally shook it because it was completely different. And Eric was like, yo, this is the creative room, and I'm just going to let the creative freedom runneth over. You know, it was great. But so now I go in there, and I'm like, well, this is, you know, it's much different from, for me at least, because the people who previously occupied that office in different times were very masculine type men. Yeah. So it's a bit fun. And now, you know, half the time there's a dog in there too. Yeah. So because Remy's often there, yeah. which at this point I'm almost considering more your dog than Eric's.
We do get along really well. I often tell him that if he ever decides he doesn't want him anymore, I will absolutely take him. He's like my office bestie. He's here every Tuesday and Thursday, and I really look forward every Tuesday and Thursday morning. I wake up and I'm like, Remy's in the office today. And we spend a good 5 minutes I give him some belly rubs and we get acquainted in the morning, and then he'll sit next to me for most of the day because I periodically will, you know, give him pets and stuff. And plus two, I always give him a little bit of my snack, so that may be why we're such good friends. But
unlike Nick, so the people have to know Nick's in there, man. He's just chowing down on him like the dog's looking at him, right? His lips about turning black. He's got the drool coming down, and Nick's just still eating. Looks at acknowledges the dog's looking, and is like, you know, pops something into his mouth, and I'm like, oh, man, help the dog out. And he's like, well, I gave him a little bit before. And I'm like, yeah, but obviously he wants more, man. So, right. But again, the show's not about Nick, it's about Ann. But the people need to know, if you're ever really hungry, don't go to Nick. He's not going to help you. So Ann, let's give you, I'm going to give you, before I gave you the power to be Kris Jones, and we took that away. So what I'm going to do now is give you the ability to have a superpower. So if you could have one, could you tell the people what it would be?
Sure. I decided that I don't think I would want to have a superpower, really. I think, to answer the question in a totally different way, instead, I would prefer, I think, to be a genie, because if there was one thing I wish I could do, it would be to grant wishes. You know, one thing that really makes me happiest is making other people happy. And if I can do that by giving people whatever they so desire, I think that would be great.
I'm lost for words.
I just think of Robin Williams when he's like living in itty bitty tiny quarters, you know, when he was explaining it to Aladdin. Yeah. So, I mean, that'd be cool, but he did say the life is lonely. So, okay. I mean, it's your world. I'm just, you know, living in it. So.
All right. Good answer. So what skill do you wish you had?
Well,
and not the piano or the drums, because you're working on those. So yeah. I'm not letting you off that easy.
All right. Well, that was my original answer. So now I guess I'll have to figure something out here.
Allison transmission repair.
I wish I knew how to ride a skateboard. I have tried many times in my life. I have owned many skateboards. I am too afraid to fall off of it, so I have never fully learned how to ride. But that's one thing I've always wanted to do, is ride a skateboard without hurting myself or without being too afraid to hurt myself. Which
Olympic sport now, skateboarding.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I remember my roommate in college had a skateboard, and this is as close if I've ever come to riding one. They lived upstairs. He lived upstairs. I lived downstairs. But we had a downstairs bathroom that I kind of had to walk through the kitchen to get to. Lights were all off because I knew where the bathroom was, right? Stepped on the skateboard. Woof! Boom! No. And I was like, well, never. I mean, I've tried to stand on them. And like when I lived with him, I tried to like learn how to do it. And no, it's not for me either.
I used to skateboard.
Really?
I have a picture of me in the paper with my skateboard.
What paper is this?
Possible Republican.
Oh my gosh.
I'll send it to you.
Don't send it to me.
About me.
Don't send it to me. Send it to Dan with your permission. Can we put that?
Absolutely. Okay, yeah. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. So you're right. It's not about you. It's about you. So this little segment, I like to kind of learn, you know, what your favorite things are. So I always start off with, and I don't want the I like everything answers. So we're gonna go with that first. So what's your favorite like band or musician?
I have two actually. So my favorite musician is Kesha, I think she's amazing, and I aspire to be like her in almost every way. And then my favorite band is the Front Bottoms. So they are kind of like an indie punk band. It's really interesting because you either love them or you absolutely hate them, and more people hate them than they do love them. But I, for one, love them very much. It's very interesting music. You'll have to give it a listen. Called the Front Bottoms.
So what makes you love them, and then twofold to that, what makes people hate them?
Right.
It is the answer to those both questions are kind of the same. It's a very, very unique sound. The singing voice itself is not the best ever, but it really works with what they're going for. It's a little bit of like bad on purpose, but still good in my opinion. At least that's where a lot of people disagree with me, is that bad on purpose and it's just bad. I think it's good, but it is just a very, very unique sound. I don't think I've ever heard another band that really sounds like them. So
I think that's why they say all art's subjective, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, now growing up related to this guy, I'm sure you've had to watch a movie or two. So do you have a favorite movie?
I do. My favorite movie of all time has to be Pulp Fiction. I can remember the very first time I ever watched it. My sister and I were sitting on the couch. We were home from school on like a summer or something, and we were like, all right, well, we've heard about this. Let's put it on. We sat there in silence for the entirety of the movie, watched the whole thing, and as soon as it ended, we looked at each other and said, do you want to watch it again? And then we watched it again, and since then that's our favorite movie. At any given time she'll just like randomly send me quotes from the movie, and we can kind of go back and forth with the dialogue a little bit, but since the first time I watched it, it's always been one of my favorites. So
All right, and last but certainly not least, if you're a reader, do you have a favorite book or periodical? I also allow people to throw in. Some people like to read magazines.
Well, I will say I don't read as much now as I did when I was younger. And when I was in high school, my favorite book was East of Eden. It was ultimately something I had to read for school. It's massive, but I really enjoyed it. Having since then, I haven't really read much else, but I did recently watch all of the Harry Potter movies for the first time, and I really enjoyed them. So I bought myself, or I did not buy it for myself, for my birthday, I got the book set. So I've been slowly making my way through Harry Potter. So because now I enjoyed the movies so much, I assume by the time I'm done that will be my favorite series of books, but I'll have to keep you posted.
You have quite the birthday. She got ukulele, drum set, Harry Potter
books. Yep.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, nice. Who'd you get to Harry Potter?
Hold up. My birthday's November 8th, in case anybody wants to send me. I mean, it works for you
Right.
with a shameless plug, right? Like, I need stuff, too. So, no, and I apologize.
Harry Potter books.
My boyfriend got me the books
The
as
books
well.
and the drums.
Well, he got me the books, he got me the drum set, he got me, every year for my birthday and Christmas, he gets me like a collection of just like pink stuff because he knows I like it. And then he also got me like a microphone that we can use for live shows and stuff. So
What did you get him for his birthday?
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe I just need your boyfriend.
actually,
Right?
Yeah.
I will say, for his most recent birthday, we didn't do too much. His birthday's in October, but his first birthday ever that we were not ever.
Yeah, I was going to
His
say.
first birthday, his first birthday that we celebrated together. I took him on a trip to Ohio to see one of his favorite bands play in concert, and then we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's pretty equal, the amount of effort that goes into the birthdays. And to be fair, too, a lot of the birthday gifts I got this year were instruments that will be used in our collective band. So it was less of us, just sharing the cost of the equipment we need and him kind of gifting it. But it's for his purpose, too. So
Gotcha. Okay.
Right on.
Fair enough. All right. So usually Beyond Local, as I mentioned before, is tips and tricks about digital marketing. That's why people tune in, and now they're tuning in to find out the people behind those tips and tricks. So
No, they tune in for you, my man.
I know, but but with that said, if you could share with the people a tip and trick or anything that you've learned since working here that they can use in their digital marketing for their business.
Okay. Well, I will say this is something I kind of already believed when I had gotten here, but now it's only been solidified more and more as I kind of go through my day-to-day, is that marketing is really, really important, and you cannot set it and forget it. You have to care about the type of brand you're putting out there and how you're being perceived by your collective audience. So if there was one thing I could say to anybody who's not so sure about how much time they need to be spending on their digital marketing, is that you need to put the effort in up front. Usually if you start with a very solid base, the rest kind of it's a little bit easier after that. You have to maintain consistent with what you've got going on, but you have to put the work in up front to create a brand and an image that you want people to see, how you want to be perceived, and the rest will kind of fall into place after that.
Go.
I couldn't agree more.
Good stuff. All right. You have any more questions for Annie?
This is a kid's show, man, and we're on time constraints.
All right. And hopefully it will be round 2, right?
I mean, we've said that before.
Yeah. All right. So there you have it. Well, thanks for joining us today, Annie, and letting us, ask you all these questions, and more importantly, the viewers know who you are a little bit more. Were you going to say something? No, you got animated there. All right. That's it. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and tune in again next time for Beyond Local.